She texted me at 2 in the morning. 3 weeks earlier, she couldn't remember my last name. The message was long, apologetic, desperate for a response. I didn't reply until noon the next day. 3 words. Been pretty busy. She called within an hour. What changed wasn't what I did. It was what I stopped doing. What I refused. Most men lose women through addition. They add more attention, more compliments, more availability, thinking if they give enough, she'll finally choose them. Wrong. Attraction dies through excess. It grows through strategic deprivation. This is the shadow mind, and what I'm about to reveal contradicts the advice that keeps you stuck. Here's what nobody tells you. Robert Greene documented this across history. Seduction isn't about presence. It's about absence. Not ghosting. Not games. Strategic withdrawal that triggers her pursuit reflex. Women don't chase what they have. They chase what escapes them. Basic evolutionary psychology that modern men have forgotten. The framework I'm showing you has 4 refusals. Miss one, and the system breaks. These aren't arbitrary rules. They're based on Carl Jung's shadow psychology, Cialdini's influence principles, and David Buss's research on mate selection. Each refusal targets a specific psychological trigger in female attraction. Done correctly, she won't just like you. She'll obsess over understanding you. Before we start, understand something critical. These refusals only work if they're genuine. You can't fake scarcity. You can't perform indifference. Your nervous system leaks truth through micro-expressions, response timing, and energy. So the real work isn't learning tactics. It's becoming the man who naturally embodies these refusals. That transformation starts today. Let me show you what I mean. 2 months ago, I coached a client named David, software engineer, 28 years old, dating a woman for 6 weeks. She was pulling away, responding slower, making excuses. He panicked and doubled down. More texts, more date planning, more reassurance seeking. Textbook mistake. She broke it off 3 days later. I told him to do nothing. For 14 days, complete radio silence. No likes on social media, no casual texts, nothing. He thought I was insane. But here's what happened. Day 7, she posted a story clearly meant for him. Day 9, she texted, asking how he'd been. Day 12, she suggested meeting up. By day 14, she was calling him confused why he'd been distant. What shifted? Her perception of his value. When he was chasing, she categorized him as low status, abundant, easy to keep around. When he vanished, her brain ran threat assessment. Did I misjudge him? Is he seeing someone else? Why isn't he affected by the breakup? That uncertainty triggered the dopamine cycle that creates obsession. Not because David manipulated her, because he finally stopped devaluing himself. This is the first principle. Attraction requires tension. Tension requires uncertainty. And uncertainty requires refusal. You cannot create desire by being predictable. Schopenhauer said, "We want most what we cannot easily obtain." Women evolved to filter for men who have options. Options mean other women want him. Other women wanting him means genetic fitness. Your availability signals you have no options. Your refusal signals abundance. Now here's where most men sabotage themselves. They learn this intellectually, but apply it emotionally. They refuse out of spite, out of ego, out of fear. That energy repels. The refusal must come from genuine self-priority. You're not refusing to manipulate her. You're refusing because your mission matters more. That authenticity is what she actually feels. Nietzsche called this master morality, living by your own values rather than seeking approval from others. Slave morality is the man who bends to her moods, who sacrifices his plans for her convenience, who needs her validation to feel worthy. That neediness is invisible birth control. Master morality is the man who would walk away from her today if she violated his standards. That outcome independence is catnip. So let me give you the exact timeline. You're going to implement these 4 refusals over the next 21 days. Week 1 focuses on Refusal 1. Week 2 adds Refusal 2 while maintaining 1. Week 3 integrates 3 and 4. By day 21, these become automatic. Not techniques you remember, behaviors you embody. That's when her interest peaks. But I need to warn you about something. This power is dangerous. Once you understand how to trigger female obsession, you're responsible for what you build. Don't use this to collect validation. Don't use it to punish women. Use it to filter for partners who match your actual standards. Because if you master these refusals and then choose poorly, you've wasted the transformation. The 4 refusals target different psychological systems. Refusal 1 targets her perception of your status. Refusal 2 targets her need for emotional certainty. Refusal 3 targets her validation circuits. Refusal 4 targets her sexual selection filters. Each one compounds the others. Together they create what Machiavelli would call calculated unavailability, the appearance of not needing her while remaining calibrated enough to build genuine connection. Ready? Let's start with the refusal that separates boys from men. Refuse to sacrifice your mission for her attention. This sounds simple. It's not. Most men intellectually agree, but behaviorally comply. She texts while you're training. You stop mid-set to respond. She calls during work. You take it. She wants to see you Friday, but you had plans. You cancel them. Each time, you're teaching her your life revolves around her availability. Here's what's happening neurologically. Every time you drop everything for her, her brain releases information. He's always there. He has nothing more important than me. That sounds flattering. It's not. It activates the same neural pathways as abundance, like a discount item always on sale. The scarcity principle evaporates. Robert Cialdini proved scarcity drives value perception. Your constant availability kills scarcity. Let me show you the alternative. She texts you at 7 p.m. You're reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Your rule is no phone during reading time. 7 to 8 p.m. is sacred. So you see the text, you keep reading. At 8:15, after you've finished the chapter and made notes, you respond. Hey, just saw this. What's up? No apology, no explanation, just honest communication. What does this do? It sends subconscious data. This man has structure, has priorities, isn't controlled by notification dopamine. That structure signals discipline. Discipline signals status. Status triggers attraction. She doesn't consciously think these thoughts. Her limbic system processes the pattern and adjusts her interest level accordingly. Now here's the critical part. This only works if the mission is real. You can't fake being busy. You can't fabricate priorities to seem valuable. Your nervous system betrays the lie. So before you apply this refusal, you need an actual mission, something that genuinely demands your time and attention. Fitness, business, skill development, creative work. Doesn't matter what it is. Matters that it's real. David Buss's research on evolutionary psychology shows women are attracted to men demonstrating upward trajectory, not static success. Movement, progression, evidence you're building something. When you refuse her attention to focus on that mission, you're not just protecting your time. You're displaying genetic fitness markers. She sees you're investing in future value. That investment signals you'll be a better mate tomorrow than today. Let me give you the exact framework. Map your week. Identify non-negotiable time blocks. Morning routine. Work deep focus. Training. Reading. Creative time. These blocks are red zones. No social media. No texting. No exceptions unless it's genuine emergency. When she texts during red zones, you respond afterward. Every time. Without apology. With warmth, but zero guilt. This creates predictable unpredictability. She can't predict when you'll respond, but she knows you'll respond eventually. That combination is crucial. Pure ghosting creates anxiety and resentment. Instant responses create boredom. Delayed responses with warmth create intrigue. She starts learning your rhythm, starts respecting your boundaries, starts valuing the time you do give because it's not infinite. Baltasar Gracian wrote that one should make their absence felt, but absence without presence is just neglect. You're not avoiding her. You're prioritizing yourself first, then sharing overflow attention with her. That ordering is everything. Most men prioritize her first, then give themselves whatever's left. That's backward. You must be full before you can pour into others. Here's what happens by week 2. She stops expecting instant responses, stops testing your availability, starts matching your energy. If you text at night, she knows you are busy during the day. That knowing creates comfort. Comfort builds trust. But the unpredictability of exactly when you'll text maintains tension. Trust plus tension equals sustainable attraction. But there's a mistake men make here. They confuse this with being cold, with being distant or aloof. That's not it. When you are present, you're fully present, engaged, warm, focused on her. The contrast between your unavailability during mission time and your full presence during connection time is what creates the effect. Hot and cold. Variable reward schedule. Intermittent reinforcement that Skinner proved is the most powerful conditioning mechanism. Let me tell you what happened with David. Week 1, he implemented time sovereignty. He was training at 5 a.m. every morning, reading before bed, working focused blocks. When she texted during these times, he didn't respond. When he did respond, he was warm, present, engaged. By day 6, she noticed the pattern, commented on how disciplined he seemed. That comment revealed the perception shift. From, "Why isn't he texting?" to, "He must be really focused on growth." Different frame, different attraction level. So here's your assignment for Refusal 1. Today, block out 3 non-negotiable hours. Mark them in your calendar. During those hours, your phone goes on airplane mode. You do the work that matters. When people text during that time, including her, you respond after, with warmth, with presence, but after. Do this for 7 days. Watch how your own sense of self-respect grows. Watch how her respect follows. Because women don't respect men who don't respect themselves. They can't. The biology doesn't allow it. Now, let's move to Refusal 2. This one's subtle. Most men don't even realize they're giving it away. Refuse to give her emotional certainty about where you stand. This doesn't mean lying. It means strategic ambiguity. Most men over-communicate their interest. They text "good morning" every day. They say, "I miss you" first. They define the relationship too early. They reveal full emotional investment before she's earned it. That certainty kills the chase. Carl Jung said the meeting of 2 personalities is like mixing chemicals. If there's any reaction, both are transformed. But transformation requires catalyst. That catalyst is uncertainty. When she knows exactly how you feel, exactly where she stands, exactly that you'll be there tomorrow, the chemical reaction stops. Curiosity dies. The pursuit ends. She achieved certainty. Mission complete. Let me show you what this looks like practically. You've been seeing her for 3 weeks. She asks where this is going. Most men panic. They either commit too fast or get defensive. Both are mistakes. The correct response is calibrated ambiguity. I'm enjoying getting to know you. Let's see where it naturally goes. That's it. No promises. No pressure. No certainty. What does she feel hearing that? Mild anxiety. Mild excitement. The same emotional cocktail that creates addiction. Her brain now has an unsolved problem. Does he like me enough? Is he seeing others? Am I special to him? Those questions loop in her mind during mundane moments. In the shower, before sleep, while scrolling her phone. That mental real estate you're occupying is attraction. Daniel Kahneman's research on cognitive biases shows humans are terrible at dealing with uncertainty. We create narratives to resolve it. When you refuse to give her certainty, her brain manufactures scenarios. Most of those scenarios make you seem higher value than you are. She imagines you with other women, imagines you being selective because you have options. Her imagination does the heavy lifting. You just have to avoid spoiling it with over-reassurance. Now here's the nuance. This isn't about being a jerk. It's not about making her insecure or anxious to the point of pain. It's about maintaining just enough ambiguity that she stays engaged, stays curious, stays investing. There's a calibration range. Too much certainty, and she's bored. Too much uncertainty, and she's anxious or walks away. You want the sweet spot. Enough reassurance that she feels valued. Enough ambiguity that she stays alert. Let me give you the tactical approach. She texts good morning. You don't text it back every day. Some days you respond with good morning. Some days you respond at 10 a.m. with morning lowercase. Some days you respond at noon with, hey, how's your day going? The variability prevents pattern prediction. She can't train you, can't expect your behavior. That unpredictability maintains her attention. This applies to deeper conversations, too. She shares something vulnerable. How you respond determines everything. Most men rush to reciprocate, to match her vulnerability, to show they're emotionally available. But matching immediately reduces tension. Instead, you acknowledge her sharing. You hold space for it. But you don't immediately match depth. Not yet. You let her wonder, if you will. That wondering is seductive. Freud understood that desire is created by lack. We don't desire what we possess completely. We desire what remains partially out of reach. When you refuse emotional certainty, you remain partially out of reach. Not physically, emotionally. She can see you, touch you, spend time with you. But she can't fully capture your emotional state. That gap between proximity and possession drives pursuit. Here's what happened with David by week 2. She asked if he was seeing other people. Classic certainty test. He responded honestly, but ambiguously. I'm focused on my work right now, but I enjoy spending time with you. Notice he didn't say yes or no. Didn't define exclusivity. Didn't give her the certainty she was fishing for. That response made her increase investment. Within 3 days, she was initiating more, texting more, planning more, because the ambiguity activated her competition anxiety. Competition anxiety is primal. David Buss found that women's mate selection intensifies when they perceive competition, even imagined competition. When you refuse emotional certainty, you imply possibility of competition without stating it. Her mind fills the gap. Am I competing? With whom? Why isn't he locking me down? That internal dialogue keeps her engaged at high intensity. But here's the danger. Some men weaponize this. They keep women in limbo for months, string them along with no intention of commitment. That's not strategy. That's cruelty. The refusal of certainty should have a timeline. Early dating, high ambiguity. 3 months in, moderate ambiguity. 6 months, low ambiguity, moving toward clarity. You're not trying to keep her uncertain forever. You're using uncertainty to filter for genuine interest and build genuine tension. So, your assignment for Refusal 2. For the next 7 days, when she asks relational questions, practice calibrated ambiguity. Not lies, not coldness. Honest responses that don't over-clarify. I'm taking things day by day, instead of, you're the only one I want. I'm enjoying this, instead of, I'm falling for you. Notice how her investment level changes. Notice how she starts seeking more confirmation. That seeking is attraction in motion. Now, Refusal 3. This is where most men completely fail without knowing it. And it's costing you everything. Refuse to be her validation source. This one destroys more potential relationships than any other mistake. Here's what it looks like. She posts a photo. You like it immediately. Comment something complimentary. She changes her hair. You notice and praise it. She shares an accomplishment. You celebrate enthusiastically. Seems supportive, right? Wrong. You're training her to see you as an emotional vending machine. Insert behavior, receive validation, repeat. Women are wired to test validation sources. It's evolutionary psychology. They need to know which men offer genuine interest versus desperate attention. When you validate too readily, too consistently, too predictably, you fail the test. Not because validation is bad, but because discriminating validation signals higher status than indiscriminate approval. High-value men are selective about what they validate. That selectivity is the signal. Robert Greene wrote about this in The Art of Seduction. The target must feel they've earned your attention. If it comes too easily, it has no value. Think about expensive restaurants. Part of the appeal is exclusivity. If everyone could eat there anytime, the status disappears. Your validation works the same way. If you give it freely to everything she does, it becomes worthless. But if she has to earn it, it becomes currency she'll work for. Let me show you the contrast. She sends you a selfie. Low-effort attention bid. Most men respond immediately with heart eyes and compliments. That's the validation vending machine. Now watch this alternative. You see the selfie. You don't respond for 2 hours. When you do, you respond with, you look comfortable, or bathroom lighting is interesting. Not mean, not rude, just not fawning. That lack of expected validation creates a tiny hook in her mind. Why didn't he react like other guys? Here's the psychological mechanism. She's used to certain reinforcement patterns from men. Post photo. Receive validation. That pattern has been trained since she first got social media. When you break that pattern, you become an anomaly. Anomalies trigger curiosity. Curiosity triggers pursuit. She'll post again. Test if it was a one-time thing. If you remain consistent in your selective validation, she starts working for it. Now, this doesn't mean never validating her. That's just being cold. It means your validation is earned. When she genuinely accomplishes something difficult, you validate it. When she demonstrates character, growth, or effort, you notice. But surface-level validation for appearance or attention-seeking behavior gets no response. That discrimination trains her to seek depth with you instead of using you for ego maintenance. Epictetus taught that we should not give our attention to every impression. Some deserve engagement. Others should pass unremarked. Apply this to female validation seeking. Most of her bids for attention are unconscious habit, social media-trained behavior. If you respond to every bid, you're part of the habit loop. If you only respond to genuine substance, you become something different, something rare, someone whose attention actually means something. Let me tell you about David, week 3. She posted a gym selfie. Obviously, fishing for validation. David saw it, didn't like it, didn't comment. She texted him later asking if he saw it. He said, "Yeah, I saw it." Nothing more. She pressed, "What did you think?" He responded, "You're always working out. That's good." Flat, factual, no effusive praise. She got slightly annoyed, but 2 days later, she invited him to train together. Why? Because his validation was scarce. She wanted to earn it in person. This is the pattern. When you refuse to be her validation vending machine, she escalates her bids. She tries harder, invests more, seeks your approval through action instead of expectation. That shift from passive expectation to active pursuit is everything. You've inverted the dynamic. Now she's chasing your validation instead of you chasing her attention. But here's the calibration point. You must validate the right things when you do validate. If she shares genuine vulnerability, you validate the courage that took. If she works hard on something, you validate the effort. If she demonstrates loyalty or character, you validate those traits. What you validate, you reinforce. So validate qualities you actually want. Ignore bids for surface-level attention. This shapes her behavior over time. Cialdini's principle of social proof applies here too. When other men are validating her constantly and you're not, you stand out. She compares male attention. 97% comes freely and means nothing. 3% is selective and hard to earn. That 3% occupies 90% of her mental energy. Because rare validation from a high-value source is more rewarding than abundant validation from low-value sources. Your assignment for Refusal 3. For 7 days, do not like her social media posts. Do not comment. Do not validate surface behavior. If she shares something substantive directly with you, acknowledge it appropriately, but refuse to participate in her validation-seeking patterns. Watch what happens. She'll likely test you. Comment about you not liking her posts. Your response? "I'm not on there much anymore. Trying to focus more." That response protects your frame while maintaining the refusal. Now, the 4th refusal. This is the most misunderstood and the most powerful when done correctly. Pay attention because this changes everything. Refuse to collapse into her sexual frame. Most men don't even know this concept exists. Here's what it means. Women test whether you need sex from them, whether you're controlled by sexual access, whether you'll compromise your standards or boundaries for the possibility of physical intimacy. When you fail this test, attraction dies. When you pass it, attraction intensifies to obsession levels. Let me explain the test. She escalates sexually, makes suggestive comments, touches you, flirts overtly. Your instinct is to match the escalation, to show you're interested, to move things forward. But here's the trap. If you seem too eager, too affected, too controlled by the sexual possibility, you signal that sex is scarce for you. Scarcity in your life equals low status. Low status equals low attraction. The test is not, does he want me sexually? It's, does he need me sexually? Machiavelli advised that one should never show desire to the point of appearing desperate. Women are biologically wired to detect male neediness around sex. Because neediness historically signaled low mate value, a man who seems desperate for sexual access is a man other women aren't choosing. That perception triggers disgust at a biological level. Not conscious, automatic. Limbic system processing that she can't control. So how do you refuse the frame collapse? When she escalates sexually, you acknowledge it, but you don't chase it. You maintain outcome independence around the sexual outcome. Let me show you exactly what this looks like. She makes a suggestive comment. Most men would escalate immediately. Make it more sexual. Push for logistics. You instead smile. Acknowledge it with "your trouble." Then change the subject or create space. That restraint communicates something powerful. I could, but I'm choosing not to right now. The choosing not to is crucial. It's not inability. It's selection. You're demonstrating that you control sexual pacing, that you're not governed by biological urgency, that you can delay gratification because you've delayed it before. With other women, that implication, never stated but always present, is what triggers her competitive drive. Why isn't he pushing? Do other women make him wait? Am I not attractive enough? Those questions spiral in her mind. And here's what happens next. She escalates harder, tests whether she can break your frame, whether she can make you act needy. If you maintain composure, maintain the refusal to chase, maintain outcome independence, she experiences something rare. A man she can't control with sexuality. That experience is intoxicating because it's novel. Because 98% of men collapse immediately when she offers sexual possibility. Schopenhauer wrote that the ultimate test of a man is how he handles sexual opportunity. The weak man is controlled by it. The strong man controls himself within it. Women subconsciously test for this strength constantly. Every sexually charged interaction is an evaluation. Are you the weak man who needs this? Or the strong man who wants this but doesn't need it? That distinction determines whether she respects you. And women cannot be attracted to men they don't respect. Let me tell you the David story conclusion. Week 4. She invited him over late at night. Obvious implications. He went. They were on the couch. She escalated. Started kissing him. Most men would have pushed for sex immediately. David didn't. He kissed her. Was present. But after 20 minutes, he said, "I should head out. Got an early morning." She was confused. Tried to get him to stay. He maintained boundary. Left. She texted him the next day, frustrated. "Did I do something wrong?" He responded calmly, "Not at all. I just keep certain rhythms. When I move forward physically with someone, I want to be fully present, not rushed, not distracted by next-day obligations." That response reframed his refusal as standards, not rejection. She felt it. 2 days later, she told him she hadn't been able to stop thinking about him. That's the power of refusing sexual frame collapse. Now here's the critical nuance. This isn't about being cold. It's not about rejecting her sexuality. It's about maintaining frame. When you do progress physically, you're fully engaged, fully present, high quality. But the pacing is on your terms, not dictated by urgency, not controlled by her sexual offers. You're leading, she's following. That dynamic of masculine leadership is what creates sustainable attraction beyond initial chemistry. Sun Tzu said all warfare is based on deception. The deception here is making her believe you're indifferent to sexual outcome when you're actually just disciplined. She can't see inside your head. She can only observe behavior. When your behavior shows restraint, shows selection, shows outcome independence, she fills the gap with the narrative that serves her attraction. He must have options. He must be used to beautiful women. He must be selective. All of these narratives raise your perceived value. Your assignment for refusal 4. Next time there's sexual escalation, practice restraint. Match her energy briefly. Then create space. Pull back. Show that you're not controlled by the possibility. This will feel unnatural, Every biological instinct screams to pursue. But that's the test. Can you override instinct with intention? That override is masculine power. And women are evolutionarily wired to find that power irresistible. Now let's bring this together. All four refusals working in combination. This is where mastery lives. Four refusals. Time sovereignty. Emotional certainty. Validation supply. Sexual frame. Each one individually powerful. Together, they create a gravitational field around you that women cannot escape. Not because you're manipulating them, because you've become genuinely scarce in a world of abundant, needy, validation-seeking men. That scarcity is the signal evolution programmed them to pursue. Let me show you how they integrate. She texts during your mission time. Refusal 1 in action. You don't respond for 3 hours. When you do respond, it's warm but brief. She asks where this relationship is going. Refusal 2. You give calibrated ambiguity. I'm enjoying getting to know you. Let's keep doing that. She posts a selfie. Refusal 3. You don't like it. Don't comment. Don't feed the validation machine. She escalates sexually. Refusal 4. You match briefly, then create space. You're not controlled by the possibility. Each refusal reinforces the others. Together, they paint a picture. This man has a life, has standards, has options, has discipline. That picture triggers every attraction mechanism evolution installed. She doesn't consciously process it this way. Her limbic system does. And her limbic system makes her obsessed with penetrating your world, with earning your time, your certainty, your validation, your full sexual engagement. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the obstacle is the way. Every woman who tests you is giving you an opportunity to demonstrate frame, to prove your refusals are authentic, to show that you're not like the other men she's filtered out. Those tests aren't obstacles to attraction. They are attraction. The testing is her biological screening mechanism. When you pass, when you refuse correctly, she moves you from prospect to priority without conscious choice. Now, let's talk about what happens long-term. You can't maintain maximum refusal forever. That would be inhuman, exhausting, unnecessary. The refusals are most intense during the first 3 months. That's when her attraction either solidifies or dies. Once you've established your frame, once she's pursuing, once the dynamic is set, you can relax slightly. Give more time, more certainty, more validation, more sexual consistency. But you never abandon the refusals completely. Think of it like this. The refusals are boundaries. Boundaries protect the frame. Frame protects attraction. So you maintain light boundary enforcement forever. She knows you'll pull back if she disrespects your time. She knows you won't give emotional certainty if she's taking you for granted. She knows your validation is earned, not given. She knows you won't collapse into sexual neediness. Those boundaries, once set, become relationship operating system. Dostoevsky said, "The greatest happiness is to know the source of unhappiness." For most men, the source is neediness. They need her to validate their worth, need her to fill their time, need her to give them purpose. That need is repellent. The 4 refusals cure neediness, not by suppressing it, by making it obsolete. When you have a mission, you don't need her time. When you're outcome independent, you don't need her certainty. When you're internally validated, you don't need her approval. When you control your sexual frame, you don't need her body. That freedom from need is the ultimate attraction, because it signals you could walk away today, right now, without devastation. Women are wired to fear male abandonment. Single motherhood was death sentence for most of human history. So they evolved to detect which men could leave versus which men are trapped by neediness. When you embody these refusals, you're signaling you could leave. That signal makes her fight to keep you, not consciously, instinctively. Here's what happened with David 6 weeks later. She introduced him to her friends as her boyfriend. He never asked for the label, never pushed for commitment. She gave it because not having it made her anxious. She knew he was the type who could walk. That knowledge made keeping him her priority. Their dynamic stayed strong because he never abandoned the refusals. He just calibrated them. Less intense than month 1, but always present, always protecting his frame. Now I need to address something. Some of you are thinking this sounds manipulative, like you're playing games. Let me challenge that. Manipulation is lying about who you are. These refusals are about becoming who you should be. A man with a mission, a man with standards, a man with self-respect, a man with sexual discipline. Those aren't manipulations. Those are virtues. The fact that virtues create attraction doesn't make them manipulative. It makes them natural. Hobbes said life without power is nasty, brutish, and short. In relationships, power isn't dominance, it's frame. The ability to maintain your reality in presence of someone trying to impose theirs. Women test your frame constantly. Those tests are invitations. Will you hold boundaries? Will you refuse what diminishes you? Will you stay centered when she pulls? The tests are how she falls in love. Not with your compliance, with your refusal. So here's your final assignment. Take these 4 refusals. Write them down. Define what each means for your specific life. What's your mission that justifies refusing time? What's your standard for emotional certainty? What behaviors will you validate versus ignore? What does sexual frame control look like in practice? Get specific. Then live it for 21 days. Not perfectly, just consistently. By day 21, you won't be the same man. You'll have internalized outcome independence. Your nervous system will have adapted. You'll notice women responding differently, with more interest, more respect, more pursuit. That shift isn't magic, it's psychology. You stopped signaling low value through neediness, started signaling high value through refusal, and women's biological programming responded exactly as evolution designed. This is the shadow mind. Subscribe if you want more truths that separate men who attract from men who chase. Next video drops Thursday. I'm revealing the 3 dark psychology tactics that make her think about you non-stop, even when she's with someone else. See you there.